Our planet is in grave danger. Your favorite fashion brand may be the reason behind this. It comes as no surprise that fashion and the fashion industry in general is one of the most wasteful and resource-intensive industries that exist. It's our job as designers and as brand entrepreneurs to create sustainable fashion that can push the industry forward and that can create more reliable, more sustainable fashion for the people and the earth that we inhabit. On this episode, we'll be looking at the key areas that fashion is the biggest culprit and how it contributes to the demise of the world that we live in, and what are some key things that you can do today. The first key culprit is the textiles that we use. Polyester and cotton are the biggest offenders. We know that polyester is based off of a petroleum-based compound, and the creation of polyester actually releases a lot of chemicals and toxins into the air that are deadly and very harmful. If you throw a polyester garment into a landfill, it can sit for years on years in there unaffected, and it's something that's extremely difficult to get rid of. And don't think that cotton is any better. The substantial amount of water, resources that is needed to harvest cotton, to dye cotton, and to make garments out of cotton is off the charts. It's estimated that 1,500 gallons of water are required to make just a single pair of denim. So what are some alternatives? Well, we can look at potentially growing cotton organically, or we can look at alternatives in the form of hemp. Hemp is an extremely renewable, natural fiber that grows naturally and that actually we sometimes have an excess of. At the same time, instead of using petroleum-based compounds, we can potentially look at semi-synthetic fibers like rayon, viscose, modal. You can also go down the recycled route. Advancement in recycling technology is allowing us to reharvest our products. We can just take polyester out of the sea, we can take it out of landfills, and we can repurpose it into a new garment. The next culprit is your traditional apparel design, prototyping, and production process. Look at the design, prototyping, and actual production process, how labor intensive this is, how energy intensive this is. We look at all of the key parts of this process and we can see so many inefficiencies. A good example of this is creating a prototype. There's a lot of wasted fabric, there's a lot of wasted effort, time. So instead of being mindful with how we use our resources, we're using them in a very lax and a non-conservative way. Each product is shipped in its own product sleeve, in its own plastic sleeve, only to be thrown out and as a single use. There's so much inefficiencies in each and every single one of these components that one must ask, how do we change and how do we become better at what we do? So what solutions do we have? Well, lucky for us is that some solutions are already in place. Organizations such as the SAC actively tracks and monitors member brands' use of resources. At the same time, we can look at innovative technologies to be more effective in our design process. A good example of this is how some agencies, some designers are able to use 3D prototyping technology. So instead of having to create 3 or 4 prototypes, waiting months on end, and shipping out these prototypes each single time by air freight, you're able to do all of this in the span of one single day. The last culprit is the value chain. This is essentially, while we do know that extensive resources, extensive time, effort, energy is used in the design production process, once a consumer physically buys a garment, the rate of consumption, the rate of potential for pollution, the rate of harm on the environment drastically increases. When you buy a product, you typically buy it from the store and they package it for you. They package it for you in a single-use bag. They package it for you with a receipt, only to throw out, to discard, to put into landfills. And these bags are typically made out of non-biodegradable products or materials that sit in landfills. Once you wash your product, the types of detergents that you use, the types of fabric softeners that you use, release harmful chemicals into the environment. 80% of all CO2 released into the atmosphere from the process of washing your garments actually contributes directly to global warming. And the biggest offenders, especially if you're a sportswear designer, are synthetic fibers, things like polyester, things like acetate, things like nylon. So by washing your garments, you're actually contributing to adding plastics into the water supply that goes into the public water supply, and other people actually experience the same water that has these washed plastics. And it's no surprise that consumers keep the garments that they buy almost half as long as they used to just 15 years ago. So what are some solutions that we have as consumers and as designers today? One idea is that you need to be mindful of how often you wash your clothing, but in general, you can wash your clothing less. You can consider actively treating areas of the clothing that are affected with stain removers, that way you're not having to wash the entire garment. You can also be strategic with how often you wash and how full the washing machine is. It's also important to use environmentally friendly detergents, fabric softeners. Also consider washing with cold water, and if you can, air dry instead of having to put it through an actual dryer. It's our responsibility as designers, as creators, to be mindful on how we create and to use fashion to empower our customers to make more educated choices. If you did enjoy this, please consider smashing a massive thumbs up. It really does help us out. And for anyone who isn't a member on the channel, we are offering memberships with 3 key tiers with a ton of freebies, a ton of goodies. And honestly, all of the members that are on our channel have given us amazing reviews. They love what we have to offer. They love what they're getting as part of the membership package. So definitely check our membership section. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of FittDesign TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.